Who cares what it tastes like? It's shaped like a penis.
Eavesdroppin.
Oh, look who it is.
It's me.
It's
It's
her.
you.
It's you, it's me, it's you and me. How are you going there, little lady?
I'm good. No robe. The robe's back in Switzerland. I didn't bring the recording robe. It's my lucky robe. It's my lucky charm.
Disrobed.
Disrobed.
We're still together in Greater London.
Yes,
Isn't that wonderful?
It is. It's so nice. It's so nice to be here. Feels like home.
We're yet to see the Postie.
I know.
In Postie News.
Well, actually,
we haven't yet seen the
we
Postie
did
today.
see him.
Did we?
On the Ring doorbell.
Oh, yes.
Didn't even knock. Little bastard.
Here is...
Thanks, Dad.
Hang on. You've just called him a little...
I guess he's busy.
You little bastard.
A little bee.
Oh.
I did. I guess he was busy delivering mail. I mean, he does have a job to do, but he could have knocked on the bloody door.
He's very respectful, Michelle.
He is.
Unless we come to the door for a chat, he will just get on with his day. He's got other people to chat to, not just you and me.
Yes, I know. That is true. He might also feel very emasculated in the mini moke, whatever it is. Doesn't
In
want
his
us.
new little Royal Mail buggy.
Yes, he doesn't want us to see him.
Yeah, we had to go through the Ring doorbell yesterday because there was a bit of drama. Michelle and I were out in the garden hanging washing or something. I don't know. And there was helicopters above. I thought perhaps it was some sort of drug bust, or I expected to see some hoodlums jumping over my fence and running through. But actually it was because, very sadly, there was a lady who went missing yesterday, an older lady, possibly dementia, I don't know. I'm really hoping they find her. And the police were doing a great job knocking on doors and asking for Ring doorbell footage, which is really helpful, I guess. I know it's intrusive and, privacy, blah, blah, but actually it's really helpful when these kind of things happen.
And I was really impressed that that level of service was provided by the police. Helicopters are not cheap to run.
I know.
They are not. I mean, I think in Zermatt, it's something like 350 francs for every 7 minutes they're up.
Oh, blimey.
That costs a lot of money just to turn the key on those things. So for them to take such care for a missing person like that, I think it's absolutely wonderful. Warms the cockles. Yeah. Warms the cockles.
Yeah, I'd love to know where we're at with that story as well. I guess I better log on to all my groups and see if anyone's had any sightings, because, my heart is breaking.
Yeah.
Honestly. This is when communities really come into their own, we can live in big cities and not know our neighbours. I now don't live in a big city anymore. I still live in a big city, but it's more of a neighbourly environment. Like, our kids go to school together. We walk our dogs together, same people every day. You get to know them. Yes, the WhatsApp groups are annoying, and I know that I have some listeners who do belong on some shared groups, one of which I had to leave because I just couldn't bear it any longer, and now she has to tell me, hello Karen and Baxter, she has to tell me when there's drama on the WhatsApps and things that I need to know, or just hilarity, because it's quite ridiculous sometimes. But take the rough with the smooth, just like everything else,
Yes, you do.
There are benefits.
I mean, I live in a small village where everyone knows everything. I mean, I got sent a video just the other day by a friend saying, I hope it's his wife he's kissing. That's the thing. Eyes are on you all the time when you're in a small village. So you can't get away with shit.
And that person's not thought twice about just sharing that video. Oh, check this out. Hopefully it's his wife. So if there wasn't gossip before, there is now.
Exactly. This was on the day of the stag do. That now, if anybody is over on the Patreon, you will see that I did put the strawberry liqueur. Was it strawberry? The strawberry liqueur penis bottle.
Who cares what it tastes like? It's shaped like a penis.
With a bow tie right on the end.
I am absolutely astonished that Switzerland seems to go really hard for the stags to really embrace the penis culture just in the same way that the UK hens might. It seems really weird to me. I don't know why.
Look, there were no penis straws. They weren't sucking on a P, on a D.
There were penis aprons complete with pubic hair.
Yes, it did say sex machine with a massive schlong, and it had like black fur around it.
And these guys go out in public.
It's about humiliation, isn't it? It's about humiliating. He also had like a pink plastic helmet with fur on it with 2 beer holders and a camel kind of drinking straw.
So it looked like a knob end.
Pretty much, yes. I did see a T-shirt when I was helping Andreas buy some things that said alpha male, and it had a picture of a unicorn on it, like a children's unicorn. So it was kind of it was cute. It was very cute.
Okay.
It was like ironic.
I don't quite get that, but okay, I'll think more on that.
I'll put a picture on so you see.
It'll land.
No, it was adorable because he's like a bodybuilder, this guy. So it would have been quite cute.
It's ironical.
Yes, ironic. But he got the sex machine cooking apron instead.
Oh.
A good time was had by all.
Michelle.
Geordie.
Introductions.
Oh my God, yes. Hi, welcome to Eavesdroppin, the comedy podcast where we talk about
a lot of bullshit.
Real life, true crime, supernatural and some bullshit.
And that.
Along with that, and no facts at all. I'm your co-host, Michelle.
And I'm your co-host, Geordie. We co-host this ridiculous podcast together. Going for 5 years, guys, and some of you have been with us since the beginning, so congrats. Those of you who've just joined us, please accept our apologies in advance and enjoy the ride, maybe?
Enjoy the ride. Look, I always say, if don't laugh, you cry, because sometimes we talk about really dark stuff.
Yes. And I have said before, there are only 2 states of being, laughing or crying. When you listen to this podcast, real life, true crime, etc., what she said earlier. I think today, Michelle, you've been hinting at this for some time. You're going to be dipping into somebody's real life, somebody slightly controversial, I must say.
Yes, I am. But before we get to that, I think we've got a few. Are they Rex? Because we started watching a TV show.
Oh, yes, we did some watching of television, didn't we?
We did.
Together, like a live goggle box. Except there was no talking.
There was no talking because we were both like, what the fuck?
We were a bit shocked.
We were. It was called Something Bad Is About to Happen.
By the guys who did...
Stranger Things.
Thank you, Stranger Things.
And we thought, oh, well, let's give that a whirl. So we did. We popped that on. Well,
it was a bit scary, wasn't it,
It
Michelle?
was scary right from the very beginning. And it had that stunning girl.
Who no one knows.
Who was the girlfriend of Leonardo DiCaprio, who was also in The Night Manager.
Is she, though?
Not anymore, I don't think. She was.
She was in Daisy Jones and the Six.
Carmen somebody, I think.
Her name's Camilla Maroney.
Oh, that's her, yes.
Yes.
Gorgeous. I thought she was Dua Lipa when I first saw her.
Right.
She's got that look about her.
And we recognised the other guy in it, but we didn't know who he was, so we were a bit confused. And in the gang, who's that guy?
Who's that guy? I've seen him.
Oh, I don't know. It's a bit scary.
So we finished the first episode and we thought, nah.
Can't do another.
Not going to watch the second one.
1, it's scary. 2, it's a bit slow. And also it's jumping. Like we said, it's jumping around from scene to scene. Guys, if you've seen this TV program on Netflix, it's called Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen. Let us know if it's worth pursuing beyond the first episode.
Yes.
Do write in.
Let us know.
Hello@eavesdroppin.com.
Yes. Let us know if it's a tele-rec, because it could go into an anti-rec at this point. It's too scary.
Then we watched the other one, His and Hers. I was thinking about that this morning. I wouldn't mind watching the next episode, but it does seem also a little silly.
It does, yes.
A twisty-turny crime. Like, he's a sheriff, she's a reporter. They've got a backstory. Somebody's died, and there's a lot of sex.
Yeah. Yes.
And more people that we recognise but can't put our finger on it.
Yes.
Oh, who's that? Oh, she was in blah, blah.
Yep.
Whatever. You know, so we did kind of watch that. I just think His and Hers is such a ridiculous name for a TV show.
It is.
That's what you call your towels in the bathroom.
It is. His and Hers. Or, you know, on your...
like Jack and Jill.
On your stag do. It's your His and Hers apron. She's got the hairy V. He's got the hairy D. That's what it is. It's the His and Hers apron. You don't call a TV show his and hers. I agree. But I would give that a second go on the second episode. I would.
It's just all falling into place for me. His and hers. We're going to see her perspective. We're going to see his perspective. And are they going to match? No, they're not, because that's the first thing she said in the beginning of the TV show.
That's true.
2 versions of one story. Which one's the lie? So we're going to be served double trouble, I think. It's going to be confusing.
But I don't think that that's necessarily true, that it's a lie.
No, I don't. It's perspective.
It's perspective. It's just how someone sees it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a lie, unless there's an actual lie.
True.
There was a line on the Netflix, and I think it said something like, the most incredible reveal ever, or the biggest twist in the tail. Right. So there is something coming, because they're leading you down.
Well, I do like a twist in the tail.
I do like a twist in the tail. And actually, the person that this episode's about, he loves a twist in a tail.
He does. But before we go into that, I just want to say one more possible wreck. I don't think it's just Michelle and I that get names and words and people wrong when we talk about films. Yesterday, we were both having a double facial.
Yes.
And the lovely lady, Sabina, I think it's Sabina, who has been doing my lovely hydrofacials for months now, because I bought a deal. We were talking about last week's episode.
Right.
The Moon episode, yes, where Artemis 2 and Moon, what is on the dark side of the moon, blah, blah, blah. She said that she just saw a film about this very thing, and it was starring one of those young hot guys. She went to the cinema, and it's her teenage son's favorite actor. He's young and he's blonde, and I was like, oh, so it's not Leonardo DiCaprio. And I went through Jacob Elordi, and who's the other one that's young? Exactly. I said Chalamet. No, she doesn't know. So we were really just grasping at straws for quite some time. When she put something on my face and left the room, she was going to go Google it. She said the film was about the moon, people going to the moon and then encountering rocks or the rock. And I said, oh, so it's The Rock is in it. She said, no. And this is what you heard the laughter about. God. She said, no, it's actual rocks. I was like, oh my God, I thought you meant The Rock. So we were laughing about that. Very confused. So then we know it's not Leonardo DiCaprio. It's not Dwayne Johnson, a.k.a. The Rock. It's a young guy. I said I wouldn't know any of the young guys.
Who are blonde? Who are the blonde
and young
movie stars
exactly.
these days?
I thought, is it the guy that was in something with Nicole Kidman where they have sex? We don't know what I'm talking about there. No one knows who this guy is. Write in if you think you know. It doesn't matter. Then she said the film's name was Ave Maria. And I was like, okay, interesting. So she went out. She came back. I thought she's making this shit up. It's insane. She came back. She said, okay, I got it all wrong. His name is... Oh, fuck me. We talked about him a couple of weeks ago, Michelle. He looks...
Ryan Gosling.
Thank you. Ryan Gosling. And the film...
Not young, by the way.
No, I said he's in his 40s. And she said the film's name is actually Project Hail Mary, not Ave Maria.
Yeah, Ave Maria. This is the thing. These midlife moments happening to everybody.
But she's in her 30s.
Yes, exactly. Going back to this facial, I mean, I haven't had a facial for years, so I was quite excited to have this hydrofacial. Yeah. They did 7 different things or something.
Extracting, pushing things back in, taking it out. It's lovely.
They start with that
shovel
kind of cold water. No, I had the cold water thing where it basically feels like it is sucking up every impurity, right? The vacuum. A vac. A skin vac. Fucking amazing. And then she's got the shovel digging out all those blackheads and filaments. She said to me as she's digging away, best part of my job. And I thought, well, I get it. Like, I'm a squeezer. I understand her joy. And I really love that she gets such pleasure from her job. Mm-hmm. And anyone who has been on the Patreon in the past will know that I have put squeezy videos. Yeah, they are quite grim.
It's for some, but not others. I'm not one for looking at a squeeze.
I don't mind a squeeze.
The products of a squeeze. Ugh.
But it was a really lovely experience. I loved the vacuum. I loved the poking and the squeezing and the shoveling, the heat, the cold. She did like a little massage. Yes, there was a pummel. So ladies, even men, for no other reason other than the glow at the end of it, it's just a very nice way to spend your 45 minutes. It's great.
Just say hydrofacial in front of your phone, and next time you go on to Instagram, you'll get loads of adverts for one.
And maybe a deal, which is what I also got. I got the deal.
Yes, we both got the deal. Good times. Great skin.
Yes. Oh, that's a logo, a slogan right there. Good times, great skin. Trojan true. Trojan true.
So, Michelle, are we ready to talk about your subject today?
Yes, and if you haven't worked it out by now...
Twisty Tales, the man she's been talking about for 2 episodes.
Yes.
Slightly controversial.
Yes, we are talking about none other than Roald Dahl. If you're not an eavesdropper, if this is your first time here, well, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago because my boyfriend had not seen Willy Wonka and the Charlie. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's because
Willy Wonka and his Charlie.
And his Charlie. Oh, God, that's a different type of movie altogether. It's because the book was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That's right. Yeah.
And they changed it. They changed it to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory because they wanted the merch from it. They wanted to sell chocolate off
bars.
the back of it. So they were like, well, no one's buying the Charlie bar, the film studio. So they did a deal with a chocolate maker and they were being super clever. And this is in the, 1971 this film came out. So they were already onto the whole...
71? Wow.
They were already onto the whole branding thing. Down the rabbit hole of Roald Dahl. As I said a few weeks ago, this guy is fucking amazing, Geordie. And not because he is the greatest children's author, in my opinion, of all time, but because I think he's one of those people who doesn't let life bring them down. And, of course, we did touch on the fact that there is a little bit of controversy around him. And maybe as a person, he has been a bit cancelled. And I think there's a whole discussion around that too, because do you discount the work and the life of this man because of one belief that he has, which is quite shit,
Right. Okay, well, I guess we have to find out what that is before we make a personal decision based on that, I suppose, and that's everybody's right.
Yes. And I think, we'll park that kind of evil genius idea for the moment and just launch into giving some background on Roald Dahl because his life is incredible. And of course, I can't cover everything in this episode. It's too much. So I'm just going to touch on stuff and I'm going to give it a red hot go.
Okay.
Obviously, when you think of Roald Dahl, you do think of classics like Fizzy Lifting Drink is what was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You do. You think of all of those classics. Matilda, Charlie, the BFG, James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah, of course.
Basically, this super successful children's author, he just knew how to mix children's stories with this darkness.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes him so great. And the thing is, you could be like, okay, dude wrote amazing children's books, end of story. But he is so much more than that. So I'm going to dig in.
All right.
He was born September 13, 1916 to Norwegian parents, Harold and Sophie Dahl, in Wales, Cardiff. And he grew up wealthy. He wasn't apparently particularly good at English at school. Didn't get great marks for writing. He was super tall, 6'6", spent his summers in Norway, school terms in England, I think at a boarding school. And apart from the death of his 7-year-old sister from an appendicitis when he was 3 at the time, and then weeks later he lost his father to pneumonia.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. 2 super traumatic incidents.
Yeah, young too. Gosh.
Really young. But apart from that, he just had this super happy and quite privileged upbringing.
Yeah.
So we're going to skip forward to basically he's now in his early 20s. He's stuck at home in Buckinghamshire, kind of trying to figure out what to do with his life. So he applies to the Shell Oil Company. And in the late 1930s, that is a big deal because oil is booming. Shell is sending people all around the world. So he gets this job and they send him over to East Africa, which is modern-day Tanzania. And once he's there, the guy is smart. He learns Swahili.
Huh.
And he just gets on with the job of selling oil. But he's bored pretty quickly and wants something more. And then World War II starts. He's 23. He joins the King's African Rifles as a special constable where his job is to detain Germans in the region, right? He's still in Tanzania.
The Allied forces.
Yeah. He hates it. He hates rounding up all of these German civilians and putting them in internment camps.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And he's rounding up hundreds of them. He's like, I don't want to do this. So he decides to join the Royal Air Force with no flight training at all.
Jeez.
And they're like, woohoo! You know, we've got this young British upper class kid who wants to be a pilot. So he does some training, but the British Royal Air Force, they need those pilots now. So he gets deployed before completing his full combat training. Yep. And he starts doing combat missions over Greece and North Africa.
Oh, God, help them.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he shoots down at least 2 German aircraft early on.
Yeah.
But it really fucks him up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because he knows about loss. He knows that each pilot killed represents someone's father or brother or, you know, it really cuts him up. So over the next months, he's flying loads of missions, has a few crashes, but there's this one time he's flying a fighter plane over North Africa. This plane has an open cockpit with no roof.
What? A little bit like Dan's Mini Moke.
Kind of, but in the air. And remember, this guy is 6'6", so his head is literally sticking out
the
above
top.
the windshield of this bloody plane. And he is somewhere over the Libyan desert, and he is off course. He doesn't know where he is.
Wowzers.
No clear position. The fuel gauge is dropping. And add to that, he's a rookie pilot with less than 6 months of flying experience.
Oh.
So here he is flying from Egypt with classified documents in his pocket with all the details of his squadron's location. Night is approaching and then he's like, I'm lost. And then he crashes.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, the plane hits a boulder and the whole thing crumples on impact.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's got a fractured skull, a broken nose. He's got burned retinas.
Oh.
He's got severe injuries all over his body. And then the plane catches fire.
Oh, my God.
And somehow Roald Dahl drags himself out of this burning plane and then nearly gets shot by his own guns in the cockpit because they're firing because of the heat of this plane that's on fire.
Blimey.
And somehow he survives all of this.
Holy cow.
He gets found. He's hospitalized for months. And the doctors are like, you are going to be permanently blind.
This sounds like The English Patient. It reminds me of The English Patient. I've just been transported back there.
Yes, actually. But look, over time, he does regain his sight. But the injuries leave long-term effects on this guy. You know, he's in chronic pain for pretty much all of his life. He gets recurring headaches, blackouts. The RAF eventually grounds him and that's it. His flying career is over. He's in his mid-20s. He's physically fucked. They're basically saying, you need to go back to England. But miraculously, somehow instead, he gets sent to Washington because during World War II, after being kind of like a bit of a heroic pilot, he gets sent to America to become a British spy.
Oh, yeah, they do hunt these people down, don't they? They look for, don't know what they look for, but they pick people.
Yes.
To be spies.
He's tall, he's charismatic, he's wealthy, he's British, he's already in the military. So he gets sent to the US as part of a covert network of spies called the Irregulars.
I like it.
I know. These Irregulars, this group of guys...
It sounds like a great TV show already.
It does. This guy's life is a novel in itself. The Irregulars, their task is to influence American opinion about Britain because at this point, the US is still kind of sitting out the war. The Irregulars' job was basically intelligence gathering, propaganda, and kind of quietly from the sidelines pushing political leaders and journalists and American power players towards supporting Britain. Because at this point in the war, Britain is in trouble because Nazi Germany has already swept through so much of Europe. France, Norway, Netherlands.
They're coming for you.
Yep. And the US is staying out of it because there is so much public and political resistance to joining the war. Yeah. So Britain's strategy in America is about shifting opinion and gaining allies and securing support. And it turns out that this charming Brit, Roald Dahl, is very good at all of that. He's super tall, he's confident, he's got the gift of the gab, he's a natural storyteller, and pretty quickly he starts moving through Washington's political and social scene, just kind of building relationships in his role as a spy. And then one of his first major breaks comes through a short story that he wrote about gremlins. Now, it's not the kind of Steven Spielberg movie you might be thinking of.
I think I know what this is leading up to.
Pin that thought, and let me know if I'm confirming your suspicions. Gremlins are these fictional creatures who sabotage aircraft. Mm-hmm. And it's very much a wartime thing. So he writes this story. The short story gets published because it's a perfect wartime story. And it turns out that Eleanor Roosevelt, First Lady to the President, obviously, ends up reading this Roald Dahl story to her grandchildren, which somehow leads to Roald Dahl getting invited to the White House.
Can I just unpin it and say, is that the story where the man is on the plane and he looks out on the wing and he sees the gremlin pulling the wing apart?
Yes, I think it is that one. Yes.
It's so horrifying.
That was one of his first short stories.
I don't know what it's called. I can't remember.
Pin that because I do talk about the gremlins again. But going back to sort of where he is, he's this spy. Suddenly he's spending time with the President and the First Lady at the White House. And while all of that's happening, Dahl, he's got eyes on everything, like Roosevelt's views on the war, what he's thinking politically, his relationship with Churchill, and he's sending detailed reports of all of this intel back to British intelligence. There's also evidence that Dahl may have been acting as a back channel, passing info between Roosevelt and the British that couldn't go through official diplomatic channels. The unofficial, hey, this is what they're thinking. They're not allowed to tell you they're thinking this, but this is what's really going on behind the scenes.
Right. So a little heads up, a little, prime yourself, have a counterattack.
Yes.
Position.
Or even things like, officially the word is they're thinking of going in this direction, but behind the scenes, it's really going this way. So he's doing really important intelligence gathering. There's also a whole element to this where he's basically a diplomatic gigolo as well.
Okay.
All the ladies in these circles are all smitten with this tall, handsome Brit who's just had a story published, who's getting invited to the White House, and the ladies love him. But he's been tasked with seducing a woman called Claire Booth Luce, who is a congresswoman, a major public figure, and who's also married to Henry Luce, who owns Time magazine, Life magazine, and Fortune magazine. Because at the time, those mags were really anti-Britain.
Oh.
Which is a real problem for Britain. They are super influential. Dahl is basically assigned to shag his way into her good graces.
Gosh.
So he starts a relationship with her, and through her, he gains access to high-level political conversations and insights into all those media attitudes. And miraculously, over time, coverage in those publications do begin shifting towards a more pro-British stance. So this guy is good, but the honey trap kind of tactics are not the only thing that the irregulars do, because apparently at one point they hire an astrologer to publicly predict Hitler's downfall.
Oh.
So they're using astrology as propaganda to influence public perception.
Wow.
And to kind of get people to feel like, oh yeah, Germany's going to fall here.
Okay.
So they're really going left field with all of their...
They're trying to appeal to the masses and every corner of those masses as well.
What an amazing job to have as a 20-something-year-old spy.
Gosh, he's still only in his 20s.
Yes.
Huh.
And so, all the while, he's living this double life because officially he's a diplomat, filing papers and going to functions and things. But unofficially, he's gathering intelligence, shagging ladies, and feeding information back to British intelligence. And socially, while he's living in Washington, he becomes part of a British network that includes people like Ian Fleming of James Bond fame.
Yeah.
Because his whole life sounds like a fucking James Bond novel, right? And he also is friends with David Ogilvy, who's the advertising genius behind Ogilvy. They were also, both of them, connected to British intelligence operations. So basically he's this charming spy. But after the war ends, he's got nothing. They just dump him like a hot potato.
Right.
So he returns briefly back to England, where he goes and lives with his mum, starts managing the family farm. He starts gambling on the dogs, losing money left, right and centre.
Oh, dear.
But he's made a lot of connections in America. And there is a newspaper tycoon called Charles Marsh who really saw something in him. And he's like, come back to America, I'll pay for it all, and I'll introduce you to influential people in publishing, because he sees that he's got a talent. And one of those people is Harold Ross, who was the co-founder of The New Yorker. It's through these contacts that Dahl begins publishing short stories in The New Yorker, including a story called Skin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember this one. It's about a guy in Paris who's kind of old and poor, but he has a tattoo on his back.
Yes, no, I know this one.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a classic. Read it if you haven't read it. It's classic Dahl. So he's writing all of these twist-in-the-tail stories for The New Yorker and publications like that. And he's doing well, but not doing so well financially. It's dribs and drabs. And then he's approached by the writer C.S. Forrester, who wrote all the Horatio Hornblower books. And he says, can you write me a story about war? Or actually, he says, can you give me information? I want to write a story about war.
Got it.
But instead, Roald Dahl writes it himself. And it's really good. And the story gets published in the Saturday Evening Post in 1942. He's 26 at this stage. His writing career is starting to take off. And then, through Eleanor Roosevelt, a guy called Sidney Bernstein, who is a collaborator with Alfred Hitchcock, passes on the Gremlins story to Walt Disney, who invites Roald Dahl to Hollywood, pays for it all, puts him up at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and together they begin developing The Gremlins as a film. But pretty quickly, Roald Dahl kind of fucks it up. I think he's a bit of a diva and there are creative differences and the project gets dropped.
Eject.
And so does Dahl.
Okay.
Yep. Even though there's been loads of investment and publicity around this thing. The thing is, even after this setback with Disney, Roald Dahl is like, I like this world of screenwriting.
How real is real life? Not as real as you. Go and get real. Get real.
It's an eavesdropping, chitty chatty time. It's an eavesdropping, chitty chatty time. Real life.
So he gets given multiple film projects and he gives it his best shot. But none of them actually get turned into films. A case in point was a project called Oh Death, Where Is Thy Sting-a-ling-a-ling?
Oh,
which
I love that.
I know, so dull. It was developed with Robert Altman and backed by United Artists. A script was written, filming had begun with Gregory Peck. The studio reviewed the footage. Even after they'd pumped like $2 million into it, they looked at the footage, went, this is shit, and binned off the film.
Oh.
So he has so many false starts with these things. And throughout the late 1940s and 50s, he just experiences loads of repeated setbacks. Proposed adaptations of books like Brave New World, Moby Dick.
Oh, wow. Imagine that.
Yeah, they are on the table, but then don't happen. But a turning point comes when Alfred Hitchcock chooses Roald Dahl's story, The Smoker, for an adaptation on Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which is a TV anthology series, which was launched in the mid-50s. Absolutely iconic. Alfred Hitchcock looking like insane. Like Hitchcock, just talking about and doing the presentation intro to these.
Yes, between each
story.
clip,
yes.
Short story, yeah.
He loved it. Hitchcock loved Dahl's stories and did actually quite a few of them. This kind of collaboration really marks Roald Dahl's first success in screen-based storytelling. And then, maybe you knew this, maybe you didn't, but in 1966, Roald Dahl was then approached by Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman to write the screenplay for the 5th James Bond film, You Only Live Twice.
Did not know this.
I didn't know this either, but it makes sense because this guy is James Bond, really, in his own personal life.
Yeah,
so
he lived it. Yeah.
You Only Live Twice comes on the back of 4 really successful Bond films. It's based loosely on a novel by Ian Fleming, who Dahl knew during the war. Thing is, Dahl did not love the Ian Fleming story. So he basically rewrote the whole thing, kept a few core elements, such as, obviously, the character of James Bond and the title, and then he rewrote the whole thing, introducing crazy elements of, like, a space hijacking, a volcanic villain base. The villain lives in the volcano.
Oh, yes.
And crazy characters. Ernst Stavro
Blofeld, which is the most famous of all the Bond villains.
And this is all Dahl. Now, like we heard before, I think maybe Roald Dahl's a bit of a diva on set because there were some conflicts.
Creative differences.
Yes, with the co-writer. But in the end, he did get the screenplay credit, and the film was released in 1967 with Sean Connery, and it was a massive, massive, massive hit. It was, over time, became the highest-grossing Bond film ever.
Wowie.
And it was his first film. It was a successful feature film. This kind of provided him with a drip, drip, drip bit of long-term financial security.
Yeah.
Because, like all of those old money families, the money never lasts.
It runs out. If you're not earning more, where's it going to come from?
Exactly. So then Dahl's kind of like, toast of Hollywood. He starts working on a film called Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah, which is another adaptation of an Ian Fleming story.
Is it?
Yes, but Roald Dahl kind of fucked things up again. Gets a reputation for being really hard to work with. Even though it seems like this point of his career has all these ups and downs, a lot of what's happening to him later becomes key themes for his children's stories. His exposure to the idealism of the Disney world. Disney is all about happy, happy and light, beautiful, amazing happiness. And then you've got Hitchcock's dark side. This kind of really influences his style to becoming a storyteller with the dark side. His personal life, well, like I said before, he'd always been a bit of a hit with the ladies. And then he meets this actress called Patricia Neal at a dinner party hosted by playwright Lillian Hellman. Patricia Neal, she's 26 at this point. She's an established stage and film actress. She's got a Tony Award. She's got this, big Hollywood career. And at the dinner, Dahl ignores her. Literally freezes her out. Doesn't speak to her at all.
Yeah.
And instead, he's arguing with some guy, some composer. And then the following day, he rings her up and asks her for a date.
How funny. Treat him mean, keep him keen.
I guess. And she's like, how about no? Get fucked.
Right answer, Pat.
Yeah. He's not giving up.
Uh-huh.
He basically stalks her.
Oh, that's sexy.
Until she agrees to a date. And finally, she gives in. Thing is, she was kind of not in a good headspace because she'd been having an affair with Gary Cooper, major Hollywood star, who was married. And that whole thing was a shit show because once it was revealed, it was really bad for him. It was really bad for her. It was bad for everyone involved. Plus, she'd had an abortion and that had come out. There was a lot of public backlash. So she was like, I just went on that date to try and get over Gary Cooper. And they began dating in 1952. He's smitten pretty quickly. He asks her to marry him. And she was like, nah.
Still playing hard to get, Patty.
Yes. But then she's like, oh, fuck it. Okay.
You wore her down.
Not the way to start a marriage, I would say. And on July 2, 1953, they get married at Trinity Church in New York. Later on, she's written books and memoirs and things. And later on, she said she didn't love him when they got married. So you can kind of see that this maybe is not going to go so well, especially with all the shit that happens to them. So early on in the marriage, Dahl still doesn't really have a career. He wrote those short stories. He had the successful Bond film, does a few plays, whereas Patricia's career is exploding. She's in big films like The Day the Earth Stood Still in 1951, HUD, and she won the Academy Award for Best Actress.
Amazing.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
And look, over the marriage, the couple had 5 children. Olivia in 1955, Tessa in 1957, Theo in 1960, Ophelia in 1964, and Lucy in 1965. And during these years, Patricia, it sounds like she's a fucking legend. She did combine being an actress with being pretty much a full-time mum.
Right.
She was raising those kids and, she was working as an actress all throughout her pregnancies. Dahl was kind of like on the sidelines doing daddy daycare and writing the odd short story here and there.
Awful lot of kids for someone who didn't really love her husband to begin with. So it must have grown at some point.
Yeah, I think it did. Yes. I'm going to circle back. I just talked about all those kids that he had. Dahl's in his late 30s. His third child, Theo, is born 6 weeks after he was born on December 5 in 1960 in New York. Theo's 4 months old. He's in a pram. They've hired a nanny to push this kid around and, whatever. They're 2 blocks from the house. A taxi comes hurtling through traffic and hits the pram. The pram is thrown into the side of a bus.
Oh, no.
Theo is taken to hospital where he is multiple skull fractures, severe brain injury. They're like, he's not going to make it, but he does.
What?
Yep. Hydrocephalus is diagnosed, which means there's fluid accumulating in the brain. And they have to drain the brain the whole time.
Oh, God, poor baby.
I know. But the systems that they're using completely get blocked all the time. They can't maintain this flow. And over the next 30 months, this kid has 8 operations.
Oh, fuck.
But Roald Dahl is frustrated. He's like, why the fuck can this blockage not be fixed? Why can't this flow just go through? So he's like, I'm going to fix this. So Roald Dahl invents this piece of medical equipment that basically saves his son's life.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
He's a doer.
He's a doer. He contacts this pediatric neurosurgeon called Kenneth Till and a guy called Stanley Wade, who is a toy maker, basically. And they work on building this and designing this valve. In 2 years, they develop this device called the Wade-Dahl-Till valve. They don't take any profit from it.
Yeah.
And it gets used all over the world. This invention saves thousands and thousands of lives.
That's incredible. I did not know that.
He's a spy. He's a pilot. He's a medical inventor. He's a writer, a screenplay guy. I mean,
multi-hyphenate.
He's incredible. Then, in 1962, while the family is in England, their daughter, Olivia, who is 7, gets measles and dies.
Oh, no.
Within hours.
Oh, God.
The family is crushed.
Oh, gosh.
Roald Dahl is devastated, doesn't write a word for a year. And instead, I'm going to find a way to save other people from doing this. And he tries to come up with another medical invention to help people see who's going to be susceptible for measles, like a test. But then that's already apparently underway with a vaccination. The UK adopts this vaccination and he just kind of drops the idea. But Patricia Neal then, so Theo is a mess.
Right.
Olivia has died. She's still trying to do films because there's no money coming in.
Yeah.
She's doing a film with John Ford. She's pregnant again. She's shooting, comes home, collapses with an aneurysm.
Oh, my God.
She gets rushed into surgery where they remove blood clots from the brain.
Oh.
And she survives, but she's in a coma for 10 days. She is never going to recover speech or movement.
Yeah.
But Roald Dahl's like, fuck that. I'm going to bring my wife back. He gets fucking military with her. And he is intense, and he takes charge of her care, and he puts her through this really grueling physiotherapy and speech therapy.
God.
From what I've read, poor Patricia she can't handle it, but she does it.
Yeah.
And he brings her back to life. She gets basically full control of her motor skills again and her speech.
That guy.
But during it,
yeah,
her speech is like crazy. And she's inventing words, and he's fascinated by all of these linguistic patterns. And that forms the basis for a lot of the weird speech patterns in his children's writing. Yes. So anyway, their fifth child, because she's pregnant through all of this.
Yes, I know, yeah.
The fifth child, Lucy, is born, but the medical bills are piling up.
Yeah.
And his publisher says, you've got to do something. Why don't you try writing a children's story? And that's when he thinks back to the stories he told his own kids.
Yeah.
And he starts writing them down. The first one is about a boy who becomes an orphan, sent to live with two cruel aunts.
Yeah.
You know, it's a dark story. And his publisher reads it and is like, what the fuck do I do with this? But he thinks, okay, I'll publish it. They publish this story in America. Comes out in July 1961, and it's a flop. Sells 2,500 copies. And he's like, fuck, I can't even fucking write children's stories. So he gives up. But then he's like, do you know what? I think maybe America just doesn't get it. So then he pushes and pushes, and the book comes out in the UK.
Yeah.
And it is an immediate sellout. A huge hit. It sells over time, millions and millions and millions of copies.
Wow.
And that book is James and the Giant Peach.
Yes.
What comes next is an absolute run of bangers.
Yeah.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Twits, The BFG, Matilda, The Witches. And all of them have these themes of, you know, children face messed up adult worlds, authority figures are cruel or unstable.
Yeah.
You know, survival kind of depends on being imaginative and resilient. And he becomes super successful.
Yeah.
You know, he decides to ditch adult fiction altogether and just focus on children's fiction. At home, though, things are shit. He's still caring for his wife, but that has taken a toll on his marriage because it kind of moved from love to caregiver.
Yeah,
and
I
the
can
flame has
understand
gone.
that.
He ends up meeting this woman called Felicity Crossland, and they start having an affair, which eventually is discovered by Roald Dahl's daughter Tessa, who overhears like a phone conversation, and she's like, what the hell? Patricia eventually finds out, and the affair stops. It's messy, but he's in love with this woman, Felicity, and they end up continuing the affair with not really Patricia's consent, but she realises, which must have been absolutely shitful for her. Then comes the controversy. So in 1983, Roald Dahl, super successful, he's doing a phone interview with a journalist called Michael Corrin for the New Statesman because the BFG had come out super successful. The Witches is coming out, and that's what he's doing the press for. And apparently during that time, in between, he wrote a book review for the Literary Review where he talks about a book about Israel's 1982 invasion of Lebanon. And then Dahl just sort of talks about the Holocaust in this interview.
And Corrin's Jewish.
I'm not sure, actually. But this is a direct quote. He says, there's a trait in the Jewish character that does provoke animosity. Even a stinker like Hitler didn't just pick on them for no reason. Fucking hell. That is quite the thing to say. And of course, that did not go down well, despite the fact that also he did talk in that same article about his wartime experience in 1941, where he said our hearts bled for the Jewish men and women during 1941. But then in 1982, he talks about how now our hearts bleed for the Lebanese and Palestinian men, women and children. Never before in the history of man has a race of people switched so rapidly from being much-pitied victims to barbarous murderers.
This is the conversation that people are having now, and dialectically two things can be true at once. You know, it's tricky territory. And I will say that Michael Corrin is of Jewish heritage, and he's also quite the anti-Semitic campaigner as well. So he kind of chose a very tough crowd. to say what he said, and also very poor choice of words.
He should have just shut his mouth.
Exactly.
Just keep those to yourself. But, he also said things like America is run by powerful American Jewish bankers and dominated by Jewish financial institutions. So this is a bit of weird anti-Semitic conspiracy stuff going on as well with Dahl. And look, not that this is any excuse, but he was going through some personal shit because he did actually, at this point, he was going through a divorce with Patricia Neal.
So was he bear baiting? What was he doing? Was he trying to whip up some kind of subversive opinion?
I don't know. He's going through some shit because also physically he's fucked and in a lot of pain. He's also mentally not happy because he feels like, yes, I'm this really successful children's book writer, but I never made it in adult fiction.
And that was a big regret.
I think he feels like a bit of a loser, for himself. This anti-Semitism.
It's not cool.
It's not cool. And it's out of the bag now. You can't stick that
Can't put it
back in. And so, circling back to the top of this episode, can you still like a writer's work if you disagree with their views?
Well, I think you can to a degree. Obviously, it doesn't work the same for people like Rolf Harris and Jimmy Savile.
No.
But it can work for somebody like Dahl because he did fight for freedom for the Jewish people during World War II, essentially.
He did.
He was on the right side of history in that case. But then reflectively airing his own opinions, it was just bad move.
Exactly.
You can have opinions, but you don't need to air them, especially if it's going to spark more of a conversation or a movement such as bigotry like anti-Semitism, which is bad. It's not okay to be divisive in that way.
It's not okay.
If you're going to be a humanitarian, you need to be it across the board, even if you disagree with the actions of the Jewish state.
I will say that this guy has never put any anti-Semitic ideas into his work. None.
No.
People have combed through those books looking for anything to get him on. Never. There's not a single anti-Semitic idea or remark in any of his books. It was his own personal belief.
Yeah.
And you think about it. He's a spy. Like you said, he's on the right side of freedom in 1941, really fighting against Hitler.
Against the oppression and the genocide that was occurring.
He's a medical inventor who saved thousands of lives. He brought his wife back to life when doctors said she'd be nonverbal and never walk again.
Yeah.
He suffered terrible loss in his life. He had bad fortune, and yet he culturally brought so much to so many. So should everything he's ever done be cancelled just because we don't like this element of what he believes? And I think it's tricky.
Of his opinion, his personal opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's tricky because he's not being prejudiced against one particular person. He's making this sweeping statement about...
Yeah, the sweeping statements are always very...
And putting a conspiracy spin on it to boot with the whole kind of financial government thing. Personally, my question really is, should you separate an author's work from their personal beliefs? And, he's not the first creative to have produced amazing, genius work while also holding objectionable beliefs. So for me, I think it's a personal choice about whether someone wants to engage with the work and compartmentalize that away from the person or not. It's your choice. Yeah. For me personally, I am able to make that compartmentalization and,
you can still enjoy
really enjoy the work and the messages.
He's not stuffing anything down your throat.
No. And look, his estate did later issue a formal apology for those anti-Semitic statements and acknowledging the harm caused.
Yeah.
And actually, look, I did read somewhere a few years ago, they did a rewrite of one of his books. I can't remember which one. And they made it super PC and it sucked. So I think the question of how to engage with work comes down to whether you can separate the man from the work. And also don't fuck with the work. It is what it is.
Don't change. In Enid Blyton's Faraway Tree, which is coming out soon in cinemas, it's been rewritten so that Dick and Fanny are now Rick and Fran.
Right. Jesus.
Or Richard and Fran, I think.
Rick and Franny instead of Dick and Fanny.
I mean, what's the point of that? It's just a name and time. Deal with it.
People don't give kids enough credit for...
Bring back Fanny.
Yeah, bring back Fanny. You know that Fanny is a super popular name.
Yes, in Sweden.
Sweden,
Yes, I know.
yeah. Who gives a shit? But kids are smarter than you think. And just leave the work alone. Leave it alone. That is my quickie in a nutshell life of Roald Dahl.
Well done, Michelle. That was really intriguing. I don't think I really know much about Roald Dahl at all, but now I do.
Yes, you do.
Thank you. There is a museum. I don't know if it's still open.
Really?
Somewhere in the UK at the Roald Dahl Museum. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we should investigate. I'd love to go. All right, I feel like
You're done. You're
I'm
done
done.
talking. There's a lot of talk
I
there.
know, but it makes me want to go and reread the books, the children's books. You know, I'd love to.
Well, I have all these short stories downstairs. I would like to pull them out and start reading again. You never tire of them. Switch Bitch.
Yeah.
What was the other one
He's so
called?
clever. Obviously, the one with the mutton, the leg of mutton.
Someone Like You. Yes, all of the great stories in there. There's so many.
Yeah.
All the twist. Let's hope His and Hers delivers on the twist.
Oh, I hope so. We'll keep you up to date as to whether or not that's a rec or an anti-rec. And
Yeah.
look, in the meantime, Geordie, I think there's really only 3 things left to say. Wherever you are, whatever you do, just keep
eavesdropping.
dropping.
Eavesdropping. 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 Eavesdropping.